Ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on the Sports Byline USA Network. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by SFL CEO, Mr. Zach Stanley.
Hey, Jonald, you look wonderful today.
As always, thank you.
And I would like to say two names, if I may.
Oh, no.
Jordan Crawford and Steve Blake.
Okay. I actually, you know what? I want to bring this up because Teddy Bear 2 is here. Nick Steblenko. What's up, Nick?
How's it going?
Zach, you weren't here for this. I walked into the office this morning. For some reason or another, I forgot to set my lineup. No, this is legitimate. I did not set my lineup. I had trivia at 7 o'clock. I didn't have time to set it, so I had no lineup in the free roll. And Nick counted that as a win for himself.
You know what Jonald said to me yesterday? He said that he should be able to count anytime I didn't put in a lineup over the weekends.
Yeah,
anytime I don't put in a lineup on the weekends. Now, I put in a lineup Monday through Friday, and I like to play Monday through Friday. On Saturday and Sunday, I attend to family matters, and that's just the way that I do things in my life.
So if I miss a game, he's going to take a win.
So when you miss the final game, the final day of the regular season, you're going to tell me I don't get to count that, even though I came up with a stellar lineup last night.
You did.
Yes, I counted it, and I am proud.
That's fine. You know what? It's a new day. Today we're starting with MLB lineup breakdowns. Nick, you and I are starting a new tally.
I'm excited.
Today with baseball.
Very
I won
excited.
NBA. We got a big day. We're talking conference playoffs. We're talking a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of good stuff going on, isn't there?
I will say that there's a lot going on, and I will also say that it's part of the beauty of daily sports or daily fantasy sports that you can take a day off when you want.
Yeah.
But you definitely didn't want to take a day off.
I didn't want to take a day off. I was ready to do the research. I had it all in my document, and then I forgot to set my lineup.
I went out in winning ways.
All right, well, I concede to you, Jonald. You beat me in basketball. Let's start MLB. I'm excited.
Yep, coming after the break, we're doing our first MLB lineup breakdown of the season, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
Now, let's get back to it. The Star Fantasy League Show. Feel free to tweet the show at SFL Show.
Let's do this.
Time for your Star Fantasy League's MLB Fantasy Lineup Breakdown.
That's right. You heard the man in the cage. He did not get confused. He actually said MLB lineup breakdown. NBA is sadly departed until the playoffs start on Saturday, but until then, we're talking fantasy baseball on starfantasyleagues.com. And Nick, you ready to get into it?
I'm excited. I like that we wiped the slate clean. I'm ready to get into another sport, and I think we're going to learn a lot along the way because I think this is new for both of us, and we're just going to bring our sports-generated knowledge to the table.
Do we have a final tally between you two for NBA?
I think I won by like 7.
Yeah, something
like that.
5 or 6.
It all begins again in the playoffs.
Yeah, you know what?
40 games and 40 nights on TNT.
What is this? This is the worst advertisement of all time. All right, before we get into Nick's lineup breakdown, I believe there's something I do before you read your team that has to change now.
There is a spile?
It says on my rundown I have to do a new spile.
Okay.
I'm not really sure what that means. For those of you who are confused or just don't listen to the Star Fantasy League show, first off, what are you doing? Why are you listening to the show now?
That's silly.
That's a weird time.
That's silly.
Well,
all right.
Get on board.
Yeah, we have to break down how you do this on starfantasyleagues.com. If you're new to daily fantasy sports, you get a $100,000 salary cap. You got to pick one catcher, not center. Remember I said that the first time?
That was fine.
Catcher, first base, second base, third base, shortstop, 3 outfielders. They can be any out. You don't need a special left, center, right like most sites. You can do any outfielder you want. 1 utility, that's any fielder, 2 starting pitchers, 1 reliever, and 1 pitcher spot, which means you can put in 2 relievers, you can put in 3 starters. There's a lot of different ways to go on starfantasyleagues.com. I actually think we have one of the most dynamic lineup sets of any site.
I agree with you. There's a lot of strategy involved in this. The extra pitcher spot is very unique because you have to put in 2 starters, you have to put in a relief pitcher, but whether you want to dedicate that extra salary to your hitters or to another starting pitcher is a big decision.
It is.
I'm more partial to the other starting pitcher.
Yeah, the whole thing about it is you could start two relievers for games you know that the team's probably going to win, but if something bad happens in one of those games and you get a 0 spot, that pretty much ruins your entire lineup.
Yeah, in all honesty, I mean, you're also, if you're throwing in an extra reliever, you're kind of expecting that you're only going to get 2 or 3 points out of that player. So I think that you really have to be confident in your batters if you're going to be putting the salary towards that.
I love it. We're going to get a lot of in-depth strategy talk as the season goes on, because normally we have 2-3 sports going on at this point in the season, but once NBA and NHL drop off, it's going to be 100% baseball all the time. We're going to delve into very specific strategies. We're going to have basically a lineup breakdown and a breakdown of the next day every day on the Star Fantasy League show.
It's going to be Stats Central.
It will, yeah. If it gets repetitive for you, you know what? That's part of baseball. It's delving into these deep stats. This is where analytics first started, right? It's basically baseball.
Yep.
There's so many different things that you can look at, and there's so many different strategies. So I would advise, even though we all have very good strategies, and I think they will help all the people out there, people can have their own.
Mix it up.
Yeah, in baseball, I don't think we're going to normally in basketball, we kind of rag on you for picking people that are kind of out of the box, but there's so many strategies involved in daily fantasy baseball. You could have somebody
angles to look at to figure out who's best for you.
Exactly. We could love somebody. You could hate them. You could love someone. It's all over the place. We're going to give the reasons why we love somebody or hate them, but
it's all about increasing your percentage chances of winning just by everything that you look at in terms of stats and analytics. You just want to give yourself the best shot. Any given day, anybody can strike out. Anything can happen.
I heard a really good little analogy about baseball and the best players in baseball. Somebody said once that even the best players in the game fail 7 out of 10 times. So in baseball, this is one of those sports that, you could have a great feeling about somebody, but it just wasn't that day. They play 162 games out of the year, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Failure is still failing even when you play the game, Yogi Berra.
Thank you, Yogi Berra. Let's go to some people
That's not a Yogi Berra.
I don't know if it is, but let's go to
that's a Stanley Berra.
Let's go to a team that we'll be playing today. It is Nick Steblenko's fantasy team on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Give us who you got, what team they're playing on, and why you got there.
All right, well, I'm going to start off with a couple of guys from the Tampa Bay Rays because I really like their matchup today. So I'm going to start off with the pitchers. I like David Price today. He's done pretty well against the Yankees, and he started off the season really well. He's 2-0 with a 2.91 ERA. He's got 22 strikeouts and a sub-1.0 WHIP. So 15,000, I think he's a pretty solid start. His opponent's batting average is 248, so I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah, not to mention the Yankees. Most of those people that were in the against are probably not playing because they're all injured.
Yeah, so
the Yankees are quite depleted except for the new guys. Ellsbury, McCann, they're pretty much heading up the team. Teixeira's not there. A-Rod's obviously not there. Although the one guy I like from that team is Jeter, although he obviously hasn't been that great to start.
Yeah, I mean,
is he playing?
He played yesterday. He played in the second half of the doubleheader, so I'm assuming he's playing today, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he probably has the most batter versus pitcher history against Price.
Yep.
The only problem with that is he's been playing in the league for 20 years, so
that is
you have a lot of history from that, but obviously he's tapered off towards the end of his career, so
Price is actually he's the third most expensive pitcher on the slate. He's only about $1,200 underneath Chris Sale. I like Price if you're saving a little bit of money, but I probably would go with Sale overall as the most expensive pitcher. If you can fit both of them, I don't really know how you do that.
And just remember that WHIP is walks and hits per innings pitched for our novices out there.
Oh, that's true.
There's a lot of stats in baseball. I'm sure as we go on throughout the season, we'll look over all of them and go through what they are and what they mean. It's important to signal all those things out because they all matter in some way.
That is true. All right, who else you got from Tampa Bay?
Well, so one strategy that I'm going to employ is actually throwing in the closer for one of my favorable pitchers of the day. So I'm going to go with Grant Balfour for Tampa. He's 2,700, great offseason pickup for the Rays. He's already got 4 saves this season.
I have both Price and Balfour in my lineup. I think we're going to agree a lot today because yesterday when we were doing the breakdown, we seemed to agree. So continue.
Coincidentally, the great aunt of Eddie Balfour.
Okay.
Sure.
Even though the names are spelled differently.
Our consensus play of the day from yesterday, or for today, Evan Longoria. I have him in. He's great versus CC Sabathia. I mean, we all love him.
And
so.
CC's slowing down, so
Donald all but guaranteed a home run for Longoria.
I believe I did say that.
All right. Well, I hope to see that.
Kramer's smiling down on him.
And he's great value, 6,800. So
Correct.
for a stud like that.
Yep.
And then I think the value play of the day is going to be Yunel Escobar for Tampa at the shortstop position. He's just a shade under 4,000. He's actually batting .306 lifetime against CC with 10 RBIs and 2 home runs. So could end up being a pretty nice value play right there.
He's got some speed too.
It's a little confusing. We have almost every player you've named so far is in my lineup.
Really?
On StarFantasyLeagues.com.
We like Tampa.
Yeah, I like Tampa. I like. I believe I also like St. Louis. I think I like St. Louis, right? Yeah, I got a couple. There's so many people to pick for. Yeah, I do have a lot of St. Louis players.
I'm happy that you mentioned St. Louis. I have Yadier Molina in there. He's my catcher for today. He's at 8,800. He's had a great start for the season, batting .352 with 10 runs, 3 home runs, and 9
He's one of the
RBIs.
most solid hitters in the league right now. He's
absolutely.
Especially going up a guy, Taylor Jordan, a youngster. Almost a 5 ERA so far this season.
Right.
Doesn't strike out many people.
Yeah, he's been one of the players that's really helped with the Cardinals not skipping a beat since Albert Pujols left.
Only thing that makes me nervous about this game is a low over-under. I think it was at 7.
Yeah, but that's probably more for Wainwright than Jordan.
Okay. All right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 5-2 game or a 6-1 game or something.
Fair enough.
That.
So another team that I like the Brewers today. I got Carlos Gomez, and Ryan Braun in. Both of them are batting above .350 against Edinson Volquez. So I like both of them in there. I know they're a little bit higher priced, but to get them in, I put in Scooter Gennett. Or Gannett, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but he's the second baseman. He's kind of a punt play for me. I know he's been batting towards the...
A punt is basically a minimum or a near minimum value player that you just get in to fit in larger plays. It's basically a hit or miss guy.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with him. And then another team that I really like Pittsburgh today. I'm going to go with McCutchen. I think he's had a great career against Giovanni Gallardo.
Yeah, 6 extra base hits, 2 home runs. That's big.
Yep, and then I also have Gabby Sanchez, who, great news, I just found out he is going to start. He hasn't actually been starting consistently. He is a value play for today. He's 3,600, 292 lifetime against Gallardo with 5 RBIs. So I like the value right there.
He's a guy that can have a big game.
Absolutely,
especially if he is playing.
One more value batter that I have, Nate McLouth. I mentioned him yesterday for Washington. He's going to be starting for Denard Span. 385 lifetime against Wainwright, so I like him today. Wrap it up with my last 2. I got John Lester in. I know we're kind of at odds on that one, but I'm going to roll with him just because I think he has a high strikeout factor. And then Scott Feldman, your value pitcher of the day.
Yeah,
I love him today.
I'm big on Scott Feldman, but not so much on John Lester. I would have gone Sale over him, or I would have gone Wainwright over him. I don't like, especially on the road.
Strikeouts are huge in daily fantasy, I think that could help.
That is very true. Coming up after the break, we are breaking down the Western Conference NBA playoffs in John Old's mailbag. And you'll see the Star Fantasy League show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
The Star Fantasy League show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
Welcome back to the Star Fantasy League show. Earlier in the week, we had an NHL-specific playoff John Old's mailbag. And we are doing something very similar today. We have a Western Conference NBA playoff preview in John Old's mailbag. All questions devoted to the first round of the Western Conference playoffs.
I'm so amped up for everything that is going to go on in the West.
All right, I'm going to dedicate 1 minute to a fight that we had in the intro of this show. Nick decided to, in our game of fantasy where we face each other on the free roll every day, I forgot to put in a lineup on the last day because I was busy, and Nick just took it upon himself to have a win.
I like the way that you said that. You said that you were busy, and yet on the show, you also told everybody how excited you were that it was the last day of the season.
No, I said how sad I was. It was the last day of the season.
Yes, you're right. But that it was your last opportunity to jump in on this, and you said you entered into the actual free roll.
Well, yeah,
but you didn't put in a lineup.
I do that to do research. I do that every day.
I was so excited about these games last night because there were so many things. I mean, obviously,
it's insane.
There were only a couple games that you could actually watch that were exciting from a basketball perspective, but from a fantasy perspective, there was so much different value plays to look at and who you were going to pick out of that group. I'm proud to say I did it successfully. Jonald, all I can say is that you missed out.
I did miss out. I'm very depressed because some of the guys I really liked ended up going off, and I didn't get to take advantage of that. So you just automatically. So you, Zach,
and
listen,
I will say, if you give him the win, he won the season anyway. So
yeah,
it doesn't.
you won. John won the season.
But I'm saying in general, what if it had been tied and I hadn't put in a lineup? And I'm like,
then you would have forfeited.
See,
Are you
I don't
kidding
think
me?
I think
you can't. Well,
I think it would have had to have been the determining factor because.
Now, but okay, here's the question: if we were tied, are you sure you would have missed out on last night?
If we were tied, I would have. Well,
you would have guaranteed put in a lineup, right?
Yeah,
your fault. Whatever, John, you won, man. Okay, you're the basketball guru between the two of us.
But if Nick ends up beating you for you guys got to put in lineups.
We'll
this
definitely
weekend.
get in the playoffs.
You have to put in lineups this weekend.
All right.
Nick's gonna be like, no, I was out.
What are you talking about? I'm ready.
We're going to be following this. We're going to be following this.
Okay, we'll keep an update on the Star Fantasy League show of Nick versus myself in fantasy basketball.
TB2 versus Jonald.
On StarFantasyLeagues.com, we're going to have a nice little
Playoff
battle.
basketball challenge.
Tweet us at SFL Show. Let us know who you think's going to win that battle. It's obviously going to be me, but give Nick some love.
I just had a great idea. I think we're going to have some fun with this.
I'll be a moderator.
Oh, goody. Okay, let's get right into John Old's mailbag, the Western Conference preview. Jimmy H. writes, Klay Thompson stirred the pot days before his Warriors are set to face the Clippers in the playoffs by calling Blake Griffin a bull in a china shop. Is it smart to provoke one of the best players in the league before a big series? This is stupid.
Don't you think that's a pretty accurate description, though?
Who the F are you, Klay Thompson?
You're upset about this.
Wow, you got angry.
You're upset about this?
Where do you come off saying that crap? Blake Griffin is one of the best players in the NBA. He has no business saying anything about him.
Although he does.
I can't. Okay. I'm actually surprised you said that. I'm really surprised. I would have thought that you would have actually been excited about something like that.
Oh, it's fun, but I know it's fun. I know which side I'm taking, though.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, we have to talk about what he actually said. He accused Blake of flopping, throwing errant elbows, and being a dirty player. Like, what is he doing?
All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah, these are all the things he just kind of casually throws. He's like, oh, he's a good guy, but he's kind of throwing elbows.
I think there are things that Blake does on the, like, you hear announcers all the time talking about that Blake has, like, what do you call it? Bullseye on him. You know, that everybody wants to run into him and do something to him, and it's terrible and whatever. But there are things that he does in his play that cause people to get frustrated and angry. But this guy, first of all, he has improved his game dramatically.
He could be most improved.
This year he has been able to do several things that many speculated he was never going to be able to do. And yeah, I think he's improved. I think he's out of the top stars, he's improved the most.
So it's safe to say that you're going to be rooting for the Clippers?
No, that's not safe.
You're not?
I'm just going to be.
Wait. How is that possible?
Because I love Steph Curry.
All right,
I like David Lee.
Let's actually get into this series because I have that written down. This was one of the closest series out of any of these matchups. They were 2-2. They were knotted at 2. 0.7 differential in scoring on the side of the Clippers. All these games were close, except for the fact that Bogut and Lee might not be available at any time in this series. Bogut's definitely out.
That's a crusher, I think, for the Warriors.
Well, if you don't have bigs to match up against Blake and DeAndre, you're pretty much done.
The only thing that they could do is that they do have some of the best shooters on the outside in the game. So if they can get hot, they can get on fire, they could steal a game or two. But yeah, that does not bode well.
I think Lee's going to be back. I really do, and I think that they have enough bigs in Green and Spates and Jermaine O'Neal that they can weather that storm.
Yeah, okay, but Draymond Green against Blake Griffin?
Yeah, Draymond Green can't play at 5.
That's not an even or even either that or DeAndre. That's just not going to match up. I mean, if they go with a small lineup, that's what I'm saying. If they go with a small lineup and they pull everybody out, I think they have a better shot.
Jermaine O'Neal can match up against DeAndre.
Sure, but I mean, not fantastically. You know, he's not going to do it for a 7-game series.
Well,
he's an old guy. He's an old man.
Bogut too.
All right, quickly, who do you guys got? Golden State, Clippers.
I've got the Clippers for sure.
I'm going to be rooting for the Warriors, but I'm going to take the Clippers.
Yeah, I got Clippers in probably 5 or 6.
I've got the Clippers in 7.
Really?
Yeah,
you think it's going that
6.
far? I think they're not. I don't think Golden State's healthy enough to stick with them. The stats in the regular season are kind of off.
Blowout in 7.
A blowout in 7.
Game 7 will be the blowout.
Game 7's going to be a blowout.
Right. Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
All right, we'll get to the next question. Eddie G writes, the Grizzlies and Mavs battled on the final day of the regular season to avoid playing the Spurs in the first round. Are the Grizzlies a real threat to the Thunder?
Yes.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I think so.
This is a team that I think one of the big factors going into this series, and obviously we could talk forever about Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and that balance, but I think the big factor here is how much has Serge Ibaka grown? How far has he come since last year to come to a point where he can go up against these two bigs and have an effective series?
Absolutely. I mean, if they can frustrate him down low, if they can keep him off the boards, I think they have a great shot. If they can keep the Thunder from scoring an unbelievable amount of points, if they can keep the score down, Memphis has a shot. They've shown that in the past couple of years, in the past 5 years even, that they can keep up with the top teams in the West. But I just don't understand how that doesn't translate into regular season success. Why are they always on the bottom?
Well, what kind of effect can Kendrick Perkins have defensively? It's also a very big deal.
He's been
because
so frustrating.
if he gets a couple fouls, if he gets injured, if anything like that happens, they don't have anybody. I mean, Nick Collison is serviceable.
Steven Adams? No.
Steven Adams is terrible.
Yeah, that's not
Nick Collison's serviceable defensively, but Marc Gasol would own him.
Especially in the playoffs when things slow down, it's a lot more bump and grind
the Grizzlies play a half-court game. If they can get Oklahoma City playing their pace, they have a very legitimate chance of winning the series.
Mm-hmm. The differential in the regular season was +7 for Oklahoma City. They beat them three out of the 4 games, but I don't think that's telling at all.
I don't think it is either. I mean, we've seen the past 2-3 years.
Well, they beat them last year, but no Westbrook.
Right.
But
we've seen how this team can just absolutely grind it down, make it a half-court game. I think they really have a good chance. They are so sound defensively. They are quick. They're, for the most part, young.
They have smart players, too. Mike Conley's a serviceable point guard who just handles the ball.
I think when it comes to the playoffs and the Grizzlies, you pretty much throw the regular season out the window.
Yep, correct.
I think none of it matters, so I could see this one going 7.
Yep, I actually have Memphis in 6.
Really?
At home.
Wow. Memphis in 6?
At home. Well, if they're going to win, they're going to win at home.
I don't know.
It's got to be 6.
Got to be. I'll take the Thunder in 7.
Let's get to one more. You know what? Let's get to one more question. Terry B writes, the Western Conference playoffs will feature 7 50-win teams. Is this the season where anything could and will happen in the West?
Well, I have the LA Clippers coming out of the West.
So that would be anything happening.
So that is kind of anything happening. The Spurs, I think, have a good as chance as any team. I think they're going to mop the floor with the Mavericks. I don't think the Mavericks have a chance.
They absolutely destroyed them in the regular season. 4-0 plus 11.5 in those games. That's just blowout upon blowout.
But to say that, I mean, I think the Clippers have come so far. Redick is now back. Crawford is back. They're healthy.
Are they, though?
They're a lot healthier than they were.
Well, and they have them on the court.
They're deep. They've been playing well together. They have the best point guard in the league. Honestly, the only team that I am worried about, and I truly mean this, playing against the Clippers is the Spurs.
I mean, that's a valid concern. I think the Spurs have proven themselves to be.
I think they would own the Thunder. I think the Clippers.
I don't think they're going to play the Thunder.
You think they're going to own the Thunder?
Well,
you just think they're going to own them?
How about in 6?
I don't know. I mean, you can't discount.
That is my prediction.
You can't discount. Fine, that's fine. I can't discount the Thunder.
A prediction.
That's fine.
I'm not discounting them. I'm just saying I think they will outplay them. I think they're a better team on both sides of the ball.
All right, so wait, we haven't even talked about this Houston-Portland series. Does anybody think either of these teams have anything to do with the playoff picture?
I think those two teams are going to beat each other up a little bit, and unfortunately for them, they're going to get a fresh San Antonio team in the next round, whoever wins.
I'm sad that Houston isn't healthy enough to be in the position they are right now.
I'm going to take Houston in that series.
Against Portland?
Yes.
Me too.
And then to get destroyed.
And then, I think they could make it to 6 against the Spurs.
You think so?
I think that, with the fact that San Antonio is probably going to wipe the Mavericks out in 4, they're going to be healthy, they're going to be rested, and then they're going to come in there and they're probably going to they're going to have their way with Houston.
The Spurs are, I honestly believe this streak, this past 20 years, 25 years of the Spurs, the most remarkable team in NBA history.
It's just, I mean, that's,
the way that but
you're going up against the Celtics.
No, but the way that they exchange, well, yeah, that's true. But the way that they have been able to exchange, switch in and out all these different players that have become dynamic, played their positions perfectly. The Celtics had studs all those years.
That's true.
They were unbelievable. Obviously, they had one of the best coaches of all time as well. But the Spurs have dealt with injuries. They've gone through so many different things. I mean, obviously they've had the mainstay players like, Duncan and Parker and whatever.
And Ginobili, that guy. I love that we keep you just talked about
Ginobili's like a 20-minute per game guy.
That's true. You talked him up so high, but yet you did not pick them to win the West.
I'll take the Thunder.
I will not take anybody. Coming up after the break, we are breaking down all our value plays for Friday on StarFantasyLeagues.com, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at StarFantasyLeagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League Show with Donald, Teddy Bear 2, and the Deucey Moose. Only on the Team.
That is right. We're on the Team locally in Rochester, New York.
105.5, show me you're alive.
Oh, my God. Why do I even give that kind of
103.9, damn you fine.
These are not real stations.
All right, the 105.5 is.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Teddy Bear 2, you just got your name read off in a comical way. We're going to get to your NHL plays of the day for Friday. But before we do that, I believe there's only 3 games, so let's just break them all down.
Sounds good to me. I'm excited for that.
Ooh, you're excited.
I
like to excite Teddy Bear, too.
Listen, last night was a fantastic opener to the NHL playoffs, and Zach and I were watching this together, and it was just unbelievable. There was so much action going on, and that was the beauty. That's the beauty of the playoffs. So,
ooh, it's beauty.
Tomorrow we get to throw in a starter for another series in Detroit at Boston, and I know that Jonald is a little excited for his Bruins.
I'll probably watch it somehow.
Yeah,
if I get cable in the next 24 hours, not going to happen.
Yeah, see, that's what I wanted to do, but we'll see what happens. All right, well, so anyways, we talked a lot about how Detroit has a really good shot at upsetting Boston. I think I want to talk a little bit about how Boston got to where they are and how I think they're going to be able to play a very high level of hockey going forward.
Well, don't talk too much about it because I don't want to hear it.
All right. Well, I'm going to start. Shut up. Okay, well, I'm going to start off with Patrice Bergeron. He's a two-way player. He was a Selke winner 2 years ago, which means that he was the best defensive forward in the game. And I have a feeling that we're going to see a little bit of a shutdown line. I see his line of Bergeron, Marchand, and Riley Smith going up against Gustav Nyquist, Thomas Tatar, and Riley Sheehan. And I think that that's just going to be a defensive strategy for Claude Julien to throw out there. On the other side, though, you do have the Magic Man, Pavel Datsyuk, and he is a 3-time Selke winner. So this is going to be a really interesting storyline to follow throughout the entire series because I think that you could see Datsyuk facing up against the Krejci line for Boston. So really from there you ask, if those two lines can't produce, if the top two lines are shut down, where do you go? Well, Boston has depth, and I think that's why they're going to be able to proceed and advance through this series. Look at Carl Soderberg and Louis Eriksson and Chris Kelly. That third line can score. This year they had 35 goals and 68 assists between the three of them. And then, of course, you have Tuukka Rask. He should win the Vezina this year. I mean, there's not much more you need to say about that.
I think the big difference in this series is going to wind up being the fact that Detroit's captain will not be there.
Well, I know Zetterberg not being there is a very big loss. They've done well without him, though. They made a run without him.
I think he's such a critical element in the playoffs when it comes to solid play, leadership, and what he can do down in the zone. I think it's going to hurt him.
It is, but we'll see. I mean, if some of the Detroit younger guys can get going, we'll see what happens. And like I said before, if Jimmy Howard plays out of his mind, you never know what can happen. So I'm really excited to see that series start. We had a couple of games last night, and we're going to see Game 2, starting with Montreal at Tampa Bay. What a game that was. That was a lot of fun. That one went to overtime with Montreal coming out 5-4 on top. I didn't see that coming at all. This entire season series was a very low-scoring affair, and I didn't see this coming at all. 9 goals scored between the two of them. But Montreal was all over Tampa Bay. There was no reason Tampa Bay should have been able to keep it that close.
Yeah, it almost went to double OT, but it seemed like there were just a couple lapses by Montreal that caused Tampa Bay to be able to get back in that game. But otherwise, the chances were highly on the Canadian side. And I just think they're going to be the ones that end up coming away in this series.
You know what the shot total was last night? Montreal 44-25.
Wow.
They just outplayed them at all 3 points of the ice except for in goal. Carey Price needs to step up. That's not acceptable. You can't have 4 goals scored against you in the playoffs when you have 25 shots against.
Yeah,
so
Carey Price
needs to wake up.
Carey Price coughed one up where he just didn't hold his stick well enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens. Steven Stamkos did his job. He had 2 goals. Couple of injuries to worry about, though. Andre Palat has an upper body injury. And I wanted to kind of say something about this. In hockey, with injuries in the playoffs, they're very secretive. So if you're going to be playing daily fantasy hockey, be very careful, monitor the situation, make sure that you're on top of everything because they don't like to release any information. So if you have a lineup and a guy is out at the last second, that can happen very frequently. So make sure you're on top of your game on that.
All right, let's be on top of our game by giving the value plays of the night for Friday's playoffs.
Well, the third game that's going on is Dallas at Anaheim, and Anaheim jumped out to a big lead last time. Frederik Andersen is going to be my goalie of the night. He's 17,500, but that's another one. You got to be careful. You got to make sure he is starting because I could see a goalie by committee. I said a couple of days ago on the show about how I like Jonas Hiller, but he didn't end up starting. Anderson did. So you got to make sure that Anderson's going to be starting. He did really well, took on 35 shots, and he did let in 3, but I think he'll be fine. And then as far as the skater, Ryan Getzlaf is Captain Duck. He is ready to go. He had a goal and an assist in last night's game. He did get cut. He had they called it a deep facial laceration. Yeah. Ugh. So they're going to stitch him up. He's going to be ready to go. He's already been declared ready for tomorrow night's game.
I've never seen a skater not come back out after a cut.
Yeah, he's definitely good to go.
That's got to be bad.
That's hockey, baby.
Yeah. So, and if you want to stack, add Matt Bolesky and Corey Perry. Lots of value
Stack
there.
of the day.
There you go. We got a lot of Anaheim love.
Love the Ducks tomorrow.
Love some Ducks. I thought Charlie Conway was Captain Duck.
Good work, Captain Duck.
Was it not Charlie Conway?
I just high-fived Teddy Bear, too.
We could hear it in the microphone.
Charlie
Getzlaf
Conway
triple
was the
deke.
Thank you. All right. That's your NHL preview for the second day of the playoffs on Friday on StarFantasyLeagues.com. But we got to get into baseball.
I did always think that Adam Banks deserved a captain, but
Well, Adam Banks would have gone to the NHL, I guarantee it.
He's the quiet one. Poor Adam Banks. He got slashed. They didn't really look out for the kid.
No, nobody had his back.
That's right. We got to get it. We're going to have your back.
My job.
We're going to have your fantasy back for baseball. We got 14 games on the slate for Friday. There's only one early game. This is absolute insanity. We're not going to break down every single game because there's some games, you know what? There just isn't enough information out there that we look at and that we're interested in. So we're not going to break down every game. We're going to tell you what we like from each game, what we don't like. You want to just get to it?
Let's go.
All right, where do you want to go first? We got like 13, 14 games to look at here.
I'm going to go to Toronto and Cleveland.
Hey, it's the first game on the map. Look at that.
And I like this team teeing off against Justin Masterson.
Yeah, poor Masterson. What happened to him? He was really good for a while. He came out of the Red Sox system, got traded to Cleveland, and had 1 or 2 good years, and then
it can be kind of easy to figure him out. He has a very it's like a slow motion release. You know, so I think batters they're starting to see the ball out of his hand really well.
It's usually the second or third time they face the same pitcher. It's not going to go well for him.
Yeah.
Melky Cabrera has started off the season MVP caliber.
Yeah, he really has. He really has.
At what point will he not be playing for the team anymore?
Oh, boy.
Don't say, oh, boy. The guy was actually suspended.
I know, you're right.
He was
it's valid.
So
it's
you think
valid.
he's still raging?
I bet you he's looked under microscope.
He's hitting .500 against Masterson, 12 for 24 with 2 doubles, a jack, 3 walks, 1.264 OPS.
Yeah, I have him on there as well. But Joey Bats, not so bad himself. 6 for 17, 2 home runs and 5 walks. I wouldn't be surprised if one or both of them put up some pretty good numbers against them.
Toronto is very interesting. They have a very offensive minded lineup. You know, they're getting a
no
lot of
pitchers.
offense, and then they have no pitchers.
No
exactly.
pitchers.
Yeah,
so you can expect a lot of their games will produce for daily fantasy because just stick away from whoever the pitchers are and just look at their hitters.
R.A. Dickey.
Actually, the funny thing is I only like 3 or 4. Actually, I have 5 pitchers listed that I like for Friday, but I have so many hitters that I like. Are you seeing the same things?
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones out there. I like Prince Fielder tomorrow a lot, too.
Way to bury the lead there, Zach. I don't want to throw out my value play of the day this early in the segment, but Prince Fielder actually is my play of the day. 4 for 8 against, Felipe Paulino is his name?
I didn't mean to blow your cover there.
It's fine. Felipe Paulino, apparently not that good. 4 for 8, 2 home runs, and 5 walks.
Yeah, and don't forget, just like you said, don't forget when you're looking at these stats, if you see a player that has, say, a limited number of appearances against a pitcher, but they have 7 or 8 walks. Those walks don't count as at-bats.
That is correct. Yeah, especially
so that's a lot more plate appearances when you add in 5 extra walks.
So, yeah, if he's 4 for 8, but he has 5 walks, that's 13 plate appearances. 2 home runs and 13 plate appearances is a pretty good number, especially for a guy that either home runs or strikes out.
You get points for walks, too, so make sure that you remember that.
And he walks more than a third of the time against him.
And you want to make sure, if he does have a high walk number, but he also has a high strikeout number, those guys I would honestly avoid because they're exactly the opposites. 0.75 for a walk, minus 0.75 for a strikeout. That could be a problem.
He's only at 6,400. He's coming off a good game. You know what those numbers say to me, Jonald? Fear. Okay. 5 walks, 2 jacks, fear.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, they're playing in Texas. Big favorite in that game. I would not be surprised to see a jack. That's a high over under as well. I'm going to keep saying people are getting home runs.
And they're playing in Texas. Texas is a hitter's ballpark, so keep that in mind.
That is completely accurate. You got it. All right, let's move on to another game I like a lot of the hitters in. This Milwaukee-Pittsburgh matchup, we just talked about it today. You had a bunch of the guys from Milwaukee and Pittsburgh in your lineup. Yep. On a 14-game slate, I'm still interested in a lot of those players. Ryan Braun, 7 for 15, 2 doubles, a home run, 3 walks. Those are points right there.
Yeah, get Braun in the lineup, and he's on an 8-game hitting streak.
Yeah, Braun, he has something to prove. He seems like he genuinely wants to just come out there and tear.
He's got a chip on his shoulder, and that chip is Aaron Rodgers.
What are you talking about?
I do want to say those numbers are all against Morton, correct?
Yes, correct.
I think Doc Morton's been a popular play in daily fantasy, so make sure that you pay attention to that. If Milwaukee's doing that well against Doc Morton, today's not the day.
All right. On the other side of the ball, I like McCutchen again, man. 11 for 37 against Kyle Loesch, 2 doubles and a home run. There's a couple guys that have really good numbers. Tabata has good numbers. Neil Walker has good numbers. Just pay attention to who's playing. Obviously, they have a hot streak against a certain pitcher. They're most likely going to be in that matchup. That's why they continue.
What do you think? Best center fielder in the game?
I don't know.
I think he's definitely up there.
Make some generalities. Go ahead.
But I'm just saying.
He is definitely up there, and he has not yet hit his ceiling.
And that's what I mean. Is I think that he's almost matchup proof. I mean, I don't think there's a pitcher out there that he can't hit.
That might be accurate. All right, there's one game I wanted to give a shout-out to. We don't really have anything that supports this per se for a specific player, but Philadelphia and Colorado, it's going to be Pettibone against Chatwood. Just basically stack some lefties for Colorado because Pettibone's not that great.
Nope.
They're obviously playing in Colorado on the road.
That ball carries.
Yeah, maybe look at Carlos Gonzalez, whoever else they put in for lefties. You're definitely going to want to get some bats in for the highest over-under the night at 10. So that's a game definitely to look at.
I've got a stack for you.
Okay.
The Yankees.
Stacking the Yankees?
Yes.
Who do you like?
They're off to a rough start.
Eric Bedard is in for Matt Moore. Bedard is awful. He is absolutely horrible. My hitter of the day is Alfonso Soriano, who is 7 for 14 against Bedard. 3 doubles, a jack, 3 RBIs, and 3 walks, and he kills left-handed pitching.
That helps.
Yeah.
Who else do you like from New York?
I like pretty much everybody, to be honest.
Well, you can't put all of them in.
I like Jeter. I definitely like Beltran.
Okay.
I just think I think Bedard's going to cough up 5 in the first 4 innings.
All right, you know what? Let's get to some pitchers. I said I liked 5 pitchers. Let me know if you don't like any of these guys. I like Walker for St. Louis. Although the fact that he's on the road, it's going to be a close game against Washington, going up against Gio Gonzalez.
Yeah, but batters are 1 for 20 going up against him.
Yeah, I saw that with 7 strikeouts as well.
And that's the thing is, even if he doesn't get the win, he's okay. Strikeouts are big.
Yeah, but on a 14-game schedule, I'd like to find an easy win. Like for example, Greinke. Dodgers pitching at home against Arizona. Arizona's been pretty anemic so far this season.
Yep.
I love Sonny Gray. He's probably going to be my pitcher of the day.
Sonny Gray is my pitcher of the day as well.
Yeah,
he's 2-0.
He's 12,787 on StarFantasy.com, pitching like a number 1.
Yeah, great value. 2-0, .95 ERA, 19 Ks, 1.13 ERA against Houston.
Yeah, another guy I would take a look at is he's opposing Ricky Nolasco, who is atrocious. I would go for Vargas in Kansas City. He's 1-0 with a 1.64 ERA and 12 strikeouts. I think he's going to probably have a nice little pitcher game, have probably an easy win against Minnesota.
Yeah, that looks good to me. I also like Scott Van Slyke in that Arizona LA Dodgers game. I think he's a value play of the day at 4,612.
Not a pitcher, though.
No, I'm just saying.
I was like, I
wanted to get in a quick last value play there.
All right, you know what? We're going to get some value plays, and we're also going to give you the top value plays of the day when we come back, and we're also going to wrap the show up because that's what we do. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
We're back, and we are not wrapped up yet on the Star Fantasy League Show because we have plays of the day to get you for Friday on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Playoff day again in the NHL. I believe, Nick, you like the Anaheim Ducks quite a bit.
Love the Ducks. I think they're going to crush tomorrow. I think they're just going to come out hard like they did last night, and I think they're going to run away with it.
All right, so your top skater of the day is Ryan Getzlaf, and your top goalie is Frederik Andersen, but with the caveat that he actually plays.
Getzlaf's going to look like a horror. He's just going to be a horror movie tomorrow. He's going to have a big old gash on his face, and he's just going to score a hat trick.
He's also balding.
Yes, he is. But he's Captain Duck.
We can put that in there.
Let's go shake their hands.
Wow. Awesome. All right, for MLB,
he has an accent.
Zach and I agreed on our pitcher of the day is Sonny Gray for the Oakland Athletics going up against Houston. It should be a pretty smooth sailing
I think he's
for
going
him.
to crush them.
Yeah, he should be a pretty smooth sailing. And we disagreed on our hitter of the day. I like Prince Fielder, who has a bunch of home runs and a lot of walks. And you liked Alfonso Soriano.
Both really good choices, both with pretty good value, too.
You can fit them both in. Look at that. Easy day. We agree on something. But you know what else we agree on?
The Bills.
No, God, of course we don't agree on the Bills. No, we agree on giving away a ton of value on StarFantasyLeagues.com. I also believe there's an NBA game that just so happens to be on the board we just put up.
I think there's a $1,000 game for a buy-in of only $11.
That would be accurate.
For NBA Saturday, which is so exciting. You'll get to watch games all day.
Yeah, it starts at 12:30 Eastern. So get in there, register for that game. It is in the lobby at StarFantasyLeagues.com right now.
The first playoff Saturday.
That's exciting.
Of the playoff season.
There's going to be basketball and hockey playoffs all day long. I don't think I'm going to be doing much of anything.
I think I'll have like half of a beer or like 8.
Half? The over-under is 8. We're going to go somewhere in between there. Sure, why not? All right, but we're still giving away free value on StarFantasyLeagues.com. If you want to play, there's free rolls every single day. $50 free rolls Tuesday and Thursday for Major League Baseball. $10 free roll every other sport every day. It's every value. $5. Tweet us at SFL Show with your username. Give you $5
try it
free.
out. Baseball is a ton of fun, and you put so many different players in play, so you can get a lot of value from a bunch of different locations.
Yep, I'm pretty excited. Baseball, we're learning, we're having fun. And if you guys are scared of Ryan Getzlaf's face, we'll help you make a better lineup next time. Take it easy, guys.